With that, welcome to Inside this week-ending edition of Big Ten Today, presented by Rally House. Rick Pizzo, Dave Wanstead, the start of an immense sports viewing television weekend. You have the Ryder Cup going on, and in college football, you have monster matchups, none bigger than Penn State, Oregon.
No, not at all. And I'm sure that both teams are excited, but I'm anxious to talk to James Franklin because I guarantee you, Coach, having to buy the week off, it's been a long, exciting week.
That's right. We're about 10 minutes away from talking with Penn State head coach. But first, it is time for the big story presented by Rally House. And something has to give in State College. Penn State hasn't beaten a top 10 foe since that epic win over OSU back in 2016. And as good as Oregon has been, especially inside Autzen, Ducks haven't won a road game of this magnitude since Dan Lanning arrived in Eugene. Big picture first, before we dive into offense versus defense. Home crowd should be a huge advantage for Penn State with the whiteout. But these are the kind of games that Oregon has played over the last couple of years and won, specifically last year, beating Ohio State at home and Penn State in the Big Ten title game.
They have. I look at this thing big picture. Number one, with the bye week, how did Coach Franklin and his staff handle it? Did they add stuff? You can go two different ways. You can add some new stuff, offense, defense, special teams, or you can look at where we've been for the first 3 or 4 games and say, let's improve in these situations. Now, on the other side, Oregon traveling the whiteout, everything there, they've got a young football team, okay? So this will be a new experience for them, new experience for anybody, but particularly a young team. And the coordinators from Oregon, you better be ready to make in-game adjustments because I guarantee you Penn State's going to have something new in situations, how much we don't know.
Those coordinators, Will Stein, Tosh Lupoy, have done a terrific job under Dan Lanning. But to your point, a couple of weeks ago, they came right here to Chicago to play Northwestern. They went right back home for the matchup against Oregon State, and now all the way across country to face Penn State. Let's dive into it on the field. We start with the Oregon offense against Penn State's defense. That Nittany Lion D has been stout in year one under Jim Knowles, but now they get a new challenge against Oregon quarterback Dante Moore.
Yeah, and he's a dual-threat quarterback. That's the first thing you got to say. You got to be cautious of him making plays with his feet. I think the biggest thing here is making sure that we don't give up the big play. And I think Penn State's the matchup on this thing. I mean, Penn State has got as much speed on defense. Everybody talks about, the speed of Oregon, and they do. They do. I'm not taking anything away from that. But at the end of the day, Penn State can run just as well. And when I look at Penn State's defense, they have 4 seniors starting on that defensive line. Now, they do Jim Knowles likes to rotate, but the guys coming in are freshmen, sophomore, young guys. So I'll be very, very curious. How much does Dennis Sutton come out in this game? You know what I mean? Is this a game, and I've been in big games before, hey, don't even look at me, Aaron Donald, because you're not coming out, okay? So it'll be,
Ray Lewis not coming off the field.
Right, exactly. So it all depends. It'll be curious to see how much rotating they do with that defensive line to keep pressure on this Oregon offense.
And again, we go back to that bye week. Jim Knowles has had the extra week to get ready for Oregon, seeing everything that the Ducks do. Now, Oregon did play it a little bit vanilla against Northwestern and didn't have to do a whole lot against Oregon State. So you wonder if they're also hiding a few tricks up their sleeves offensively.
Well, yeah, Oregon's offense, when you think about it, they've had, after that Northwestern game, I lost track. I think it was 7 running backs carried the ball, 2 freshmen scored touchdowns, 12 or 13 receivers made catches. So they're going to pan that down now. Now all of a sudden, just like I said about how much is Penn State going to rotate, the same thought process, I guarantee you, is going through with in Dan Lanning's mind right now. How much do we want to rotate our running backs, receivers, and so forth? What's our best matchup against Penn State? And then go with it. They're going to have to, the emotion. Let's not underestimate the emotion that Oregon's going to have to match. I mean, they're going to have to come in and on obviously defense, you can use that emotion, but offensively, they cannot get caught up in the whiteout, in the crowd, and the noise. It's going to be a new experience.
So let's go to the other side of the football. And Penn State offensively, I know Drew Aller is a guy now who has played in the biggest games. He's won a ton of games for Penn State, but you have that two-headed monster in the back. What do you think about the run game, about this Oregon defense?
The big plays are going to come. Penn State is so close to making big plays, and you get big plays in the running game with the blocking, obviously, and then a receiver's got to block downfield. There's not any 40-yard runs without getting blocking downfield, and so I think the running game is going to come with Penn State, and if they have the lead in the fourth quarter, you got to close the ball. Throw it to score points, run it to win games. We all talk about that, so it's going to come down to that.
I will say they have been better throwing the ball. They seem to have found some wide receivers. That was the one issue, right, with Penn State offensively over the last couple of years. Tyler Warren was terrific, but he did it from the tight end position. Dave, it seems like Drew Aller may be as comfortable as he's ever been with the wide receivers since he arrived in State College.
Yeah, they've added 3, right? So they got 3 new ones transferred in. I look at this thing and I say, yes, but are they going to be wide open? Probably not. These wide receivers, that's a great point, Rick. They're going to have to make some plays. You got to go up and catch the ball when you're halfway covered. I mean, that's part of winning a championship, having playmakers that do that. And at the end of the day, it's not the big plays. It's a team that makes the fewest bad plays.
I'm surprised you didn't tell me that it's
Right
about special teams and the team that makes the fewest turnovers. That's what every coach will tell you.
You're not giving me enough time to talk.
Special teams. All right, coming arguably the greatest environment in all of college football arrives Saturday night in State College when Penn State plays host to Oregon for just the second time ever, a Beaver Stadium whiteout featuring 2 teams ranked inside the nation's top 6. And we are thrilled to be welcomed by Penn State head coach James Franklin for today's big interview. James, I know right now everybody wants a piece of your time, so we truly appreciate you taking a moment to be with us. How you feeling today?
Feeling great. As you guys know, Wednesday night the RVs start pulling into town. Thursday they're already out there packed, and I've never tailgated in my life, but it looks awesome. Hopefully at some point I'll get a chance to do that, but not for a while. But appreciate the opportunity to be on with you guys.
Give us a sense, James, of what that vibe is like right now, not just around your facility, not just on campus, but in State College and the surrounding areas heading into this one.
As you know, it's always special. I mean, we average 106,000 fans per game, but this is different. Obviously we want to approach it the same way in terms of our process, but the players know, everybody knows. You've been hearing about it all summer. You've been hearing about it all offseason. I try to keep the team as focused as I possibly can on the game at hand, whether that was Nevada or FIU or Villanova or whoever it was. But everybody else wants to talk about the whiteout and Oregon. So, everybody understands what this is about. It's a tremendous opportunity. And our guys have had really good week and a half of preparation leading up to this.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you a question about Drew Aller, your quarterback. He comes back for another year. He could have moved on to the NFL draft. And right now, there's the expectations from him and everybody to win a Big Ten championship, to win a national championship, and to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. This is all being talked about daily. How is Drew handling everything?
Well, let's just focus on Oregon, right? And that needs to be kind of his process. That needs to be our process. And I think all those things that you are saying are right. And he has put plays on tape as good as any quarterback in the country. And he just needs to focus on Oregon. And by doing that and playing his best football, we'll put him in the best position. We'll put our team in the best position, not only this Saturday, but also moving forward for all those discussions that happen. I think he plays best when he's a little bit edgy. I don't necessarily need him taking shots against Villanova. We got to be smart. But these are games where he's got to fight, scratch, and claw for every yard on the field, and he's at his best, I think, when he plays that way, and he's got a little bit of an edge to him.
Yeah, and on the other side, nobody's done a better job at producing NFL tight ends than you have at Penn State lately. Even though Penn State's linebacker, I get it. Okay, I understand that. But when you look at Warren and you look at Freiermuth and you look at Gesicki, now you're facing the tight end that, reputation-wise and ability-wise, is the top tight end in the Big Ten. Okay, with Kenyon Sadiq. What problems does he present to an offense? Not just yours, but in general. What's making him so special? And you can compare him to some of your guys.
Well, I'm a big fan, right? Because to me, he's a true tight end. And Coach Wanstead, you know this. Like half the time they give the award, the best tight end in college football, to really the best receiver. They're not tight ends. They're big receivers. This guy's a real tight end. He is tough. He is physical. He'll block you. He is a tremendous explosive athlete, can make plays in space. But he's what we've built our tight ends here, guys that are true matchup problems, that you can split them out wide and you got to cover them like a wide receiver, or you can motion them back into the box, and now they're able to be physical. That creates a ton of headaches for defensive coordinators and makes it really challenging. When you're just a big wideout, they treat you as such. So I got a tremendous amount of respect for this guy. He's a real guy. He gave us problems last time. He's been the focus point all week long. Obviously, number one for them, their wide receiver, and then obviously the tight end. Those two guys, as well as the quarterback and others that have stood out. But they got our attention. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, Coach, I follow recruiting, Big Ten recruiting. I've always loved that part of the game. And I focus in on Pennsylvania. You have done a fabulous job over the years recruiting. We all know that. But I'm looking at your staff this morning before we did this interview just to do my homework. And when I was coaching Pitt not long ago, I was getting all these players out of Western Pennsylvania. You are so smart. You're all on your staff now. Terry Smith was taking care of me at Gateway. Palco was taking care of me. Gattuso, all the guys that were giving me players, you got them all on your staff now. No wonder you're having such great success.
Yeah, Coach, you did a phenomenal job. I followed what you were doing at Pitt. My dad's from Pittsburgh. I grew up just outside of Philadelphia, so you did a phenomenal job. But you're right. At the end of the day, obviously we're in a different era of college football, but at the end of the day, it's still about relationships. Terry Smith's been with me, since year one at Penn State. He knows everybody in the state of Pennsylvania. Former high school coach, did a phenomenal job. Bringing Coach Gattuso back's been a head coach for the last 12 years. I can go on and on. I got 19 former Lettermen on my staff, and people that take a ton of pride in the state of Pennsylvania and take a ton of pride in Penn State. So that carries a lot of weight when these guys walk into these schools. And you know how valuable a guy like Palco is, and I'm blessed to have him on my staff.
All right, James, I'm going to take this off the beaten path a little bit. I host our press conference show every Monday, and a couple of weeks ago you made a comment that went viral about watching games after your game was over in your basement in your boxer shorts. And folks have asked me, do you think that actually happens? And then when we were able to schedule a James Franklin, I said, I don't know the answer, but I'll go straight to the source. So was that just in conversation, or does that actually happen in the Franklin household on Saturday nights?
Well, it's funny you bring that up. First of all, Coach Wanstead knows after the game, you don't want to come home and be asked 1,000 questions from family and friends about why you did this, why you just want to eat a sandwich, you want to have a cocktail, and you want to watch the game, right? So it's funny, last week after that whole deal happened, I'm down in the basement with all my friends and family, and I got some sweats on, and I'm just kind of relaxed t-shirt sweats, and they started bringing up the boxers, so I stood up, ripped the sweatpants off, and I'm sitting there in my boxers, and everybody's laughing and we're having a good time, and they said, oh, that was just for the press conference. I said, no, I'm going to take them off and show everybody. So we laughed and have a good time. A couple of the wives and our female friends didn't think it was as funny, but we had a great time.
I think it's hysterical. Dave's been laughing next to me, so you got us for sure.
I was with Coach as far as a sandwich and a cocktail. That's about as far
That's as far as you're going to go. All right, James.
I get it.
James, let's get you out of here with a little game that I like to call 3 and Out. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and then 1 to get you out of here. Somewhat quick hitters, but again, we're going a little bit off the field. So first down, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton linked in everybody's minds because of their position, because of their career. How similar or different are they as people off the field?
Very different. Katron has said like 17 words since he's been on campus. Nick obviously being a kid from the state of Pennsylvania, but they're very different. They're best of friends and they complement each other really well, but very different personalities.
All right, second down, let's stay with the comparison theme. I want you to compare the 2025 Penn State offense being led by Drew Aller to the 1994 East Stroudsburg offense being led by quarterback James Franklin.
Well, Coach Wanstead knows East Stroudsburg is like the Harvard of the PSAC, the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. So we had a lot of success there. I had a lot of fun in my college career. I constantly stress to people that, what you learn playing college football coupled with what you learn in the classroom is really valuable. But I would have loved to play in this style of offense where you're running spread and zone read. I was fairly mobile, so I think I would have flourished. Those days you're under center, every single down taking a snap, and I think I could have flourished a little bit in a spread gun type system.
I did find Division II National Player of the Year nominee. Third down, on your defense, Zane Durant and Dennis Sutton, both outstanding football players. If I put you in the UFC octagon with both of them, who do you last longer against?
With those two guys?
Yeah.
I don't last at all. As soon as I see him step through the ring, I climb over it. I run out as fast as possible. Those two guys are grown men, and they have nasty demeanors. They're guys that Coach Wanstead would have loved. They're football guys through and through and love to play defensive football and set the tone up front.
All right, that's 3 downs, James. Let's get you out of here with this. 2 weeks ago, we had Kirk Ferentz as our Friday guest. The next day, he became the winningest coach in Big Ten history. Last week, we had Kurt Signetti. We know what Indiana did to Illinois. Are you ready to deal with the pressure and expectation that comes with being the Friday guest on Big Ten Today?
Well, first of all, I love the fact that you let it up like that, and I'm happy to follow in those guys' footsteps. And obviously, what both of those guys have done in their careers, I'm big fans of, and representing the Big Ten the right way. And obviously, what Coach Ferentz has done as a Western PA guy there at Iowa is really impressive, and I've followed his career and have been a fan of his for a long time. So I'm glad that you guys are following me with me next in that discussion.
Coach, that was my suggestion. Okay.
Well done, Dave, and well done, James, as well. We truly appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck tomorrow night. Can't wait to watch.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
In addition to Oregon, Penn State, the Week 5 Big Ten Saturday slate absolutely stacked. It'll be ranked versus ranked in Champaign, where the Illini host USC. Rutgers and Minnesota, sneaky good game, also kicking early here on the Big Ten Network. The mid-afternoon window sees number 1 OSU in Seattle, where the Huskies just don't lose. 11th ranked Indiana with a road trip to Kinnick. And remember, you're coming off that monster win against Illinois. Northwestern plays host to UCLA. Also mid-afternoon, nearby our studios here in Chicago. Rick Pizzo back with Dave Wanstead. Let's focus on USC, Illinois. And before we get into the nuts and bolts, how does Brett Bielema handle this week? You lose by 53. Dave, I'm curious, have you ever been in a situation like this as a coach where your team just gets absolutely dirt rolled when you're expected to be a college football playoff sleeper, and then you have a really tough game coming up next?
Yeah, no, this is a tough one. I thought, I was in this situation before once when I was an assistant coach at Oklahoma State, and and Oklahoma beat us so bad, so bad. It was worse. The score was worse than this. I'm embarrassed to say it, that we were leaving the field. I was walking across with Jimmy Johnson, and Barry Switzer's assistant coach came up and said to Jimmy, Barry said, good luck. And Jimmy said, where's Barry? And he says, well, Barry went in and started calling recruits with about 5 minutes to go in the game. Coach, That's getting beat bad.
I mean, that is the ultimate sign of not disrespect. That's the ultimate coaching flex.
Yeah, Coach, that's flex. But I will say this. I watched Brett Bielema's press conference twice. I thought he did a fabulous job. I mean, the theme of what he said that hit me is, hey, it's not this crisis that's going to determine our season. It's how we respond to the crisis that's going to determine our season. And I love what he did. He brought him in. They watched the tape. They went and had dinner. He brought him back and said, okay, it's time to start looking at USC tape. So I thought, under the circumstances of what happened, I thought Brett did a fabulous job of handling it with the players, the media, everybody concerned.
Okay, so that's the mental aspect. Let's take it on the field, where this Illinois offensive line was chewed up by Indiana last Saturday in Bloomington. There's no other way to say it. And USC, after taking some heat the last couple of years for not being strong up front defensively, has a hugely improved defensive line that has shown, and I know the competition hasn't been remarkably difficult, but they have shown the ability to get after the passer. To me, Dave, that's going to be the key area of this game. Can the Illinois O-line hold up enough against USC's defensive front four to give Luke Altmaier some time?
Yeah, and it's not just the pass. USC's leading the nation in sacks with 16, but tackles for loss in their last game. And when tackles for loss are against running plays usually. That's what you're talking about when you hit the guy behind the line of scrimmage and he's not throwing it. So these guys they are playing so fast up front. That's how I would describe them, and so quick that they're making all these negative plays. The thing that you got to do to combat that, and it sounds simple, but you have to run the ball, you got to slow them down, and you got to run the screen game. You got to do things that are high percentage throws. Get the ball out quick. Run the ball where the rush and the defensive linemen are really not going to be that much of a factor. Once you do that a few times, you know what happens, Rick? All of a sudden, your offense starts getting a little bit of confidence. You got to go up. Snap count. You're at home. Take advantage of that, Illinois. By that, I mean, if you're on the road, the snap count can be a problem for you. You can't hear. But down there, you got the advantage. Use the snap count. Get these guys jumping. They're going to be wanting to come after you. Get them slowed down with the snap count. Run game, high percentage throws.
That's why Brett Bielema was also pleading to the crowd a little bit. Make sure you show up early. It's an 11 o'clock Central Time kick. As you know from your college days, and me as well, that's a little bit early for a college student to get out to the stadium, but they need that crowd there. And by the way, before the year started, Illinois was the darling college football playoff sleeper pick from the Big Ten. USC goes on the road and wins this game. They're probably in that same conversation.
You know what? USC, it's about as fast a resurgence as a team could have. But let me tell you, I was at USC coaching, and we were coming off of probation. I wasn't there for the probation, so don't go there, okay?
Good clarification.
I just showed up when they were on probation, and we were a 6-win team. 2 years later, we played Ohio State and beat them in the Rose Bowl. My point is, some of these programs, what's the term, blue blood programs, that the Texas and the Penn States of the world and USC's, these programs can bounce back, it seems like, a heck of a lot quicker than some of the others, and USC's right there. I mean, they're one of the most underrated programs, I think, in the country. It's going to be interesting to see what they do here. Traveling across, it's an early kickoff, right?
11 Central.
So it's, 9 back home, right, in L.A.?
Good math.
Right, good math. I made that flight for 8 years. I don't know if that's how much of a factor, but it's different for them, because now you're up at 6. And you're getting your ankles taped at 8 a.m. in the morning. It is different.
USC also going a couple of time zones, or Ohio State, I should say, also going a couple of time zones, because the Buckeyes will be in Seattle, where Washington has a 22-game home win streak, haven't lost at Husky Stadium in a couple of years. Now, the Buckeyes already shut down Arch Manning in Week 1. DeMond Williams, though, presents a very different challenge for this Matt Patricia defense.
He does. I'll tell you, and that is going to be what I'm going to be watching to see how Matt handles it, because Damon Williams is such a dangerous dual threat quarterback, run, pass, that how is Matt Patricia going to handle him? Is it going to be Downs, Caleb Downs? You know, they're going to have somebody protecting him. You can't come up and come after him, because if he breaks the line of scrimmage, some quarterbacks you say, well, okay, if they break the line of scrimmage, they're going to make a first down. Other ones, if he breaks the line of scrimmage, he could score on you, as we're seeing here in the highlights. So now the advantage, Ohio State does have linebackers that can run, right? Reese and
they have some terrific linebackers.
Styles, you know, I mean, these guys, they're capable of running him down. They've got that kind of speed. So is Matt Patricia in his defensive scheme? Who's he going to have being the extra guy, keeping an eye on the scrambles and the runs? Is it going to be Downs? Is it going to be a linebacker? It'll be real interesting to see with the extra week, right, to prepare on what he comes up with. You just hope he doesn't overthink it, you know, and fall into that trap with the guys. You know, he's got good enough players. Keep it simple enough, because I'll tell you what, this Washington offense, 250 yards a game rushing, 250 yards a game passing. They are balanced. This is not a game where you're going in saying, we shut down the run, we win. Right?
I think they're one of only 7 teams in all of FBS football that can claim 250 on the ground, 250 through the air. You have Damon Williams, you have Jonah Coleman, you have Boston, terrific receiver on the outside. They have all the elements, and Jedd Fisch is a great play caller. So that makes me wonder, and you rarely say this about Ohio State, would the Buckeyes actually prefer a lower scoring game? And I believe they actually would. I would not be surprised to see Brian Hartline try to establish very early the run game for Ohio State. It allows you to not just do what you want to do up front and show your dominance, but it allows you to milk the clock and keep Washington's offense off the field.
Yeah, you're talking my type of game there. But,
I know. I know who sits to my left.
But in all honesty, you're going out there with Julian Saint, a first time, this is his first start on the road, right?
In a nasty environment.
Nasty environment. And I hate to say, you know, this is not the one, but I coach a game up in Washington. That stadium is sneaky dangerous. You know, I mean, it doesn't get the hype.
Nothing sneaky about it. They haven't lost there in years.
Well, ask the guy down the street here, and he'll tell you he won't know that. I mean, so my point is, yes, we're football people. We know it, but it's not talked about like Penn State or going to the shoe or the big house. That's the point that I'm making. But it's a tough place to play. You got a first-time starting quarterback. That's probably the one area when you say Ohio State's offense that I'm still kind of waiting to see a little bit. You know, the running game with backs focus in, which ones rise to the top and become the guy, dominant guys, because it's all been pass. I mean, what do they have? How many pass plays over 40 yards? 7 of them over 40 yards. You know, Jeremiah Smith and Tate, I get it. But I don't know if this is going to be the type of game where you can go in and do that. You know, that you're going to have to be balanced, I think, against these guys to be able to set up those big plays. You're not going to get behind this team and get big plays. You're going to have to get the play-action passes going.
I will say the one potential advantage Ohio State does have is that Washington is beat up a little bit in the secondary. Jedd Fisch said it'll be a game-time decision, but the outstanding lockdown corner Takario Davis was hurt, not practicing throughout this week. Fisch said, though, as long as he is ready to go at 2:30 Eastern time, 11th, is that right? 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. So you're better at this whole math time zone thing than I am. He said as long as Davis is ready to go at game time, they're going to need him against guys like Smith and Tate.
You know, one more point here real quick. Ryan Day, if I'm him, I'm going to be watching to see how my defense is holding up. Because I'd like to go bombs away. What you just said about the defensive backs and use the strength of my team, which is my receivers on offense. I'd love to go bombs away. But how is my defense holding up? You know what I mean? Do I need to be a little more conservative and slow it down? Or our defense got it under control? Let's go get them.
Let's focus on Indiana going to Iowa. To me, this is a bad scheduled game for Indiana. No, you don't have any control over the schedule. They didn't do it. It's the conference schedule. But you post this huge win. Everybody's talking about you like you're world beaters. And then you have to go to Kinnick, where dreams die at the hands of Iowa's defense. And Iowa's offense, Dave, looked much better against Rutgers, specifically Mark Gronowski.
Oh, yeah, he was. And that was encouraging to see. I mean, Kirk Ferentz got to be real excited in there. You know, Tim Lester, their offensive coordinator, because this is what the kid did at college, too. He's a dual-threat quarterback, and he can run the football and make first downs and score touchdowns. We see him right here just as much as throw the ball, and we just haven't seen that. So from a confidence standpoint, and let's be real, Kirk Ferentz, this is nothing new for him. I mean, he's been in this situation before, high-powered teams coming in there. He takes the air out of the football. You know, I mean, last week, you know, and Indiana's just as dangerous, don't get me wrong, with the special teams. But last week against Rutgers, the backbreaker, they run a kickoff back for a touchdown. So Iowa's special teams are dangerous. Obviously, they're going to play sound defense. They're going to make the right adjustments on defense. It's going to come down to be able to make enough plays in the passing game to keep up with Indiana. That's just, you know.
Well, because that's the thing, right? You can quiet Indiana's offense down for stretches. I just don't think, based on what we've seen so far from Fernando Mendoza, that wide receiving core, the stars Elijah Surratt, but they have options. They can run the football. I think the offensive line is really underrated. Yep. I see the term offensive juggernaut written down on our rundown, and that's exactly what Indiana's become.
Yeah, they're to me, they're a better team today than they were last year. You know what I mean? I think they are a better football team because, you know, as good as they were last year.
And they were good.
And they were good last year. I just think that they, you know, you got the same play callers, you got the players in the system, and I know there's transfers and so forth, but the ones that stayed, the veteran guys on this team, they've been coached by these guys. They've been through the locker rooms and ups and downs in the practices. They know what to expect. I think that's a real positive thing, and that's good to do when you have the success that Sig's had down there. Yeah, their defensive line, I mean, they make plays. They put pressure on you. They're a very consistent team. Last week, they come up with the big special teams play in the game, right? So they're capable of beating you with a special teams play, obviously an offensive play, run or pass, and then defensively, the same thing. They're a balanced team, and this is nothing new. Let me just say this. You know, yes, I know Coach Signetti in his past, but go back to Elon and IUP.
JMU.
Everywhere he's been, his football teams have executed. They have not beat themselves very often. You know, and there's a big difference in important games of being good enough or beating yourself at the end of the day. Say, oh, God, we should have won that. That doesn't happen very often with Signetti-type teams.
It never allows his teams to believe that they invented football, as some of our good friends like to say, even after beating the top 10 team like Illinois by some 53 points. The two games we have here on the Big Ten Network with Dave Wanstead, starting with Rutgers and Minnesota. Despite the loss last week to Iowa, the Rutgers offense looks really good, specifically Ethan Kaliakmanis doing it without the typical run game. Have to improve the defense, though. Minnesota, meanwhile, comes off that loss on the road to Cal a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, the offense, you're correct. Ethan is doing a fabulous job. That's so, I was texting with Shiano a couple of weeks ago, Greg, and it's so out of untraveled waters for him to do it this way. So my point on the offense, though, with Rutgers is do not underestimate if Greg Schiano gets a chance to run the ball 45 times, he's going to do it, you know? I mean, that's his heart. That's the lifeline of him winning football games. The frustrating thing right now is their defense. And what's going on with their defense, they're not making any plays up front. You know, in the minute that you're not making plays up front with your defensive linemen, now everything is falling to the linebackers in the secondary. So, you know, they almost have to have a lead to give their defense a chance to say, okay, this team that we're playing this week is Minnesota. We've got a 10-point lead. We can turn you loose now, make it a one-dimensional game. When they got to play run and pass, what Greg's kind of evolved to with the new defensive coordinator, Rob Smith, as you know, has been been everywhere.
With PJ in Minnesota as well.
PJ in Minnesota. That staff is crazy, both of them. Same philosophy, head coaches, and interchange the assistants. But their defense is more, we would call it a bend but don't break. You know, try not to give up the big touchdown. and do the best you can to keep them out of the end zone.
And you're not sure which Minnesota offense you're facing, because with a healthy Darius Taylor, it is a completely different offense than it is without Darius Taylor.
Yeah, I would say this, though. Somehow, some way, PJ's got to be able to run the ball with or without, because you don't want this game falling on Drake's and coaches. Greg, and they're coaching it themselves. Both teams last week muffed punt against Cal for PJ, maybe cost him the game. Run back all the way for a touchdown, Greg, against Iowa. So both of them gave up big plays, possibly game-turning
mistakes
plays.
You just can't make.
And special teams, which is so unusual for them.
A lot of mistakes being made by both Northwestern and UCLA, but both teams have to head into Saturday's game feeling like this is their best chance at a Big Ten win for maybe quite a while.
Yeah, I think it's probably Northwestern's best chance to get 6 wins and maybe a bowl game.
Have to win this game.
Got to win this game. And they should have the advantage with the offense. Praying at home, I think Preston Stone's gotten a little bit better. And when you look at line play, offense and defensive line, I'm going to check the box. I think Northwestern's been playing a little better to this point. UCLA, they went back to training camp, with their new head coach, Skipper, filling in there. What they're going to do, I don't know, but I would think it's going to be basics, hard-nosed football. It's going to be a quick game this week.
It'll be interesting to see what exactly Tim Skipper meant by that. You had that bye week, Deshaun Foster gets dismissed, and you say, we're going back to training camp. We are going to pretend basically like the first 3 weeks didn't exist.
Blocking and tackling, that's going to be, you probably heard that 10 times.
And you got to get everybody to buy in first and foremost. That'll do it for Big Ten today. We begin our coverage with Big Ten Tailgate coming your way 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 local time from the Twin Cities Saturday.